Hello, BookTube. I'm here with another uh, Future History Project video for Aurora, the third book of Mark W. Tiedemann's robot trilogy. I just finished it just not too long ago. It's been a weird day here because the temperature's not so bad, but there's been no sun and it's been overcast and the humidity is just right up there. I tried to actually sit outside because it wasn't. I didn't mind it, but the humidity was bad. But also just reading the glare off the pages, I couldn't do it very long. But anyway, I finished it, and well, um, there's some very good stuff throughout these three books. Mostly in this one. It's the plot, the drama is a supervillains pirating contraband throughout space, and high level officials are involved in this, and it's been going for a long time. That's the framework, and that's what everything was happening right from the first Mirage. All the way through to Chimera and Aurora. I didn't say anything about this earlier because I was waiting till it was sort of finished. I have always had a problem with at least in modern books of these super villains and super organizations. They don't really hang together for me because people cannot keep their mouth shut. There's always going to be somebody greedy, and do you just keep knocking these people off, killing them? I suppose so. There is a little more to it in here because of the ability of computers, AI, and so forth, of how they um, sort of subvert things. But as I say, that's the framework everything is on. Now, he's using stuff in here that, if I remember right, I'm going to have to reread, actually, Mother Earth. It's a short story that Isaac Asimov wrote that's in early Asimov. And in it, there was the question, if I'm remembering the story correctly, in it, there's the question of, the spacer worlds, isolating Earth. And they were saying, well, we'll just bide our time because there's issues with the spacer worlds and their DNA and all this kind of stuff because they are uh, being affected by the planets that they're on. It didn't go into details, but Tiedemann picks this up in here. It's part of this, and also nanotechnology. Um, that Earth started nanotechnology, and it got away from them. Like, they had nanotechnology for everything, not just going into humans to repair issues health wise, but also, like he even says, like dust, that it would, these little nanobots or nanotechnology will go and convert things into different something else. So it would clean up the dust in your house. And it will, change and help, growth of plants and everything. But they got away from, in a sense, like it just they started replicating too fast, and they created pathogens and problems. And one of the things was that there was, we mentioned it before, it was the DH or whatever. It was like really, really bad sort of genetic defects in children that they are going to die, but they're taken into care homes and given this comfortable life until they die. However, that didn't quite happen because they were kidnapped by this supervillain group and been turned into cyborgs, And according to Tiedemann, that the 3 laws of robotics don't work. Their brains are partially positronic, but it's the nanotechnology that is created, but takes years or decades to do. And there's all this happening in the background. And we get the cyborgs that came out in Chimera. And the Derek's, because we still got Derek and Ariel, Derek's artificial intelligence, his RI, resident intelligence computer, is a little smarter than he probably expected. And he sort of resurrected his robot Bogard, the bodyguard robot, who actually saves Derek and Ariel in here by killing the cyborg. And there's all subplots of him being the son of a a rich industrialist, that he's done this, killed his father, his genetic father, in order to inherit the business, so there'd be more money into the pot of the bad guys, and so on and so forth. And he killed his sister, and that was in the in Chimera. So these are all sort of subplots, but the Bogard he's a better Bogard than he was before, and he's in cahoots sort of with Thales, the RI, the resident intelligence of Derek. And they talk, and they say some interesting things that hark back to Mother Earth, when they're saying that because when the spacers went out to the worlds, they found that there was, genetically they were changing to a certain extent, and are dying because of issues with the indigenous life on the planet. But there weren't sort of they didn't find, apparently, intelligent life, but lower forms of life, but it still interacted with humanity. And in the Mother Earth, they're talking that this will, ultimately destroy them. Mark Tiedemann adds to this that they started using nanotechnology to augment themselves, and hence why they probably live to 200, 300, 400 years old. But Thales, the RI, and Bogard are talking, and they're realizing that at the moment the spacers are changing. They're still human to a certain extent, but they are evolving. They're changing into something else. And at the moment, they can interbreed with humans like Homo sapiens sapiens from Earth. But in time, they will change completely. So, and then it's the question of who does the robots follow? Like, do they augment their protocols, their 3 laws, to say, well, they're human as well, and the Earthers, Earth descendants are human as well. But then they're saying they can't follow 2 masters. So they decide that, it's that they're going to sort of isolate the spacer worlds. It's not really, no details of this, but they will die out, and they will help the real humanity, Homo sapiens sapiens. Now, and then we come back to the overall arching sort of story of the supervillains. The head of it is killed by his own creations on Nova Levis, the planet where the cyborgs were growing, but there was lots of errors, but a lot of them survived. So by the looks of it, he's been torn to shreds by his creations, which is getting back to some stuff that I don't really care for science fiction now. 100 years ago or 80 years ago, I would accept it. But anyway, So Bogard takes the place, and Bogard is then, he's still keeping that organization going, and he's the chairman. He's now going to be the chairman, and they're going to move their operations to Nova Levis and clean up the planet because they had set it up that there was so many pathogens there that they were creating drugs and making money there, and stuff was contraband, even though there's a blockade, because they've infiltrated the Aurora computer system that would mask all the ships. And Derek and Ariel uncover this, while Bogard basically uncovered it and fails. So they took it down, and it was like it was a corrupted computer because there was a cybernetic aspect to it. So they take it down, and that's all crushed. But the organization is still sort of there, and Bogard is taking it over in order to create this planet, possibly as a capital. It sort of ends for humans, and run the operations from there. And he'll still use the evil counterparts to their ends, Thales and him. But also too, a character that was introduced in Chimera is Hofton, which was a bodyguard or aide to Ariel on Earth. He turns out to be a robot, a humaniform robot that has known Ariel since she was born. And apparently, because she's had the memory loss, she doesn't remember him, and she didn't recognize him. So obviously he hasn't changed his appearance, but others would recognize him, you'd think. But anyway, let's push that aside for a minute. So he infiltrates this meeting of these evil super villains, and with Bogard as now the chairman and running things. So he announces himself, and he says he's always known it, and he's going to lend any help he can to Bogard, and obviously fails to their ends to help humanity. Now he's hinting, Tiedemann is hinting that I guess that's Daniel. Could be. I don't know. He doesn't really say. And there's an interesting appendix in the back. It's called here Chronology of the Robot Empire Foundation Universe, an unofficial timeline by Attila Torkas. It's an interesting timeline. There is spoilers for upcoming things, but because these were written after the second Foundation trilogy by the 3 Bs, he is incorporating stuff in here because, well, I won't spoil it, but he is incorporating stuff in here that we will see in retrospect, or the results of it that are happening between this book and sort of the Empire, let's put it that way, or full sort of colonization of the settlement of the galaxy. There is a lot of things in here that do it. So it is good in this sense. It is pulling a lot of things together, and they're pulling stuff together from the 2 Robot Cities series of books. But it's just not written that well. That's the thing. It's like they're bloated. They would have served a lot shorter. This one, I thought, well, it should have been better because you've got the story going on. There's a story going on Earth. There's story going on Nova Levis, on the spaceship around the blockade, and for a while the spaceship going to Aurora, Derek and Ariel, and then on Aurora. So you've got all these storylines that are going to dovetail at the end. And usually that speeds up the story because it's not the same stuff, but he still there's a lot of fluff. There's a lot of extraneous stuff that doesn't need to be here. There's a few battle scenes in here, or when Hofton and another character go after well, they think it's the second um, uh, cyborg on Earth. It's the one that's the son of this industrialist. It's quite good, like, the way it was sort of plotted out, but it still just was lacking something. And then previously there was another one where they were trying to get him as well, where they were trying to get take down the organization on Earth, and there was so many. That was I think that was in Chimera. I think it was, yeah. Again, it was effective, but not quite effective. And another thing I mentioned in the last one that's in this book and in the first book, Mirage, is Bogard is sort of going through his protocols, and it's written, and it's like, it's a good try, but it just doesn't seem to work. I don't know if you could ever actually do this correctly, because obviously the robot's going to go through, all this kind of stuff in, like, not even in a tenth of the time that it takes me to snap my fingers. So anything in writing is not going to be that great of an approximation, but he's tried, so okay, so I give him that. But yeah, overall, there's at least stuff in here that is integral to at least the extraneous material that Asimov wrote, but not so much extraneous either, because it's based on the Mother Earth story, and Mark Tiedemann has taken it. He's elaborated on those things, which, yeah, that works. So far, despite all the problems it's had, this three books, there's at least some good redeeming qualities out of this that work within the future history universe. And especially and then for later ones, the 3Bs, the 3 foundation ones. And I'm looking forward to rereading those, because I read them once and I thought they were good, but I don't know how they fit in to everything. So that'll be interesting. So hopefully tomorrow I can read this and get it done for Monday, is Have Robot Will Travel. It seems like Derek and Ariel are exiled on colony on Nova Levis. And it's short. It's 200 pages. So I should be just over 200 pages. So I should be able to, 200 pages, because it doesn't start on page 1. So hopefully Monday, and then after that is Robots. Let me see if I can grab it here. Robots of Dawn. Back to Asimov. Robots in Empire. I'll see what I can do for getting that done during the week as well, but I've got a lot of stuff to read. So, fingers crossed. But anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts, or the 2, 3 that are continuing to read, what they thought after finishing Aurora, what they thought of it as a whole. I'd love to hear your views in the comments. Take care, BuckTube. See you next time.